Hello, Darren here. Brian May, guitarist for Queen, has an amp he calls the Deaky. It's named after John Deacon, the bass player. I have an amp I call the Deasy, and here it is. Okay, this amp is called the Deasy because it was given to me by Mike Deasy. He gave it to me in 1979. It's a Fender Princeton brown face, and these were made only in the early 60s. This is probably from 62 or something like that. And he gave it to me because I was going to tour that summer with his son, Mike Deasy Jr., and I had a Gibson Les Paul guitar, but I didn't have an amp. And so he just gave this to me. And it was a little beat up, but thanks to my mom, my friend Michael Connor, and me, we got it looking pretty good. This Fender logo on the front, that did not come with the amp. I added that because I thought it looked cool. How do I know Mike Deasy? Well, I met him at church. He used to go to the same church I went to back in the 70s in Chehalis, Washington. And you're probably wondering, who is Mike Deasy? You probably have never heard of him, but you probably have heard him play because he was on like every other record you heard on the radio in 60s and 70s, and on soundtracks for every other movie you watched in the 60s and 70s. And he even had appearances on TV. He was in an episode of Get Smart as a band, rock and roll band member. He was a member of the Wrecking Crew. The Wrecking Crew was a bunch of musicians based out of Los Angeles that were hired to play on records, and they played on tons of records. And Mike Deasy, he just played on every. He was on. He played for the Beach Boys. He's on Pet Sounds, for crying out loud. He played on albums by Billy Joel, Elvis, the Everly Brothers, Frank Sinatra, Frank Zappa, Frankie Valli, he liked the Franks, Kenny Loggins, Kenny Rogers, the Jackson Five, the Monkees, and so many more. You would not believe how many albums he's played on and how many famous people he's played for. And then soundtracks, I won't even go into that. I think he played on the Graduate soundtrack, for example. And because of him, I was able to meet Barry McGuire. After church, one day I come out of church and Barry McGuire is sitting on the hood of my car talking to Mike. I met Jerry Sheff, he played bass for the Doors on the album L.A. Woman. I know they didn't usually have a bass player, but they did once in a while. I've had this amp all these years. I did sell it once a few years ago to my friend Michael Connor because I needed the money, and he was nice enough to sell it back to me when I realized how stupid I was for selling this thing at a profit. And so thank you, Michael, and thank you, Mike Deasy. That's him right there. That's the man with his custom carved Strat. So Mike, if you're watching, thanks for the amp. I still have it after all these years. Let's turn it on. Look at this beautiful cat.